Hello, everyone. My name is Jaylon Jenkins, and it is an honor to be here. I know some of you came far away, and it's early, and not only is it early, but it's the weekend. So some of you could be asleep right now, and some of you normally wouldn't wake up, so it is an honor to be here. And I am here. I'm going to talk about my transformational journey to Belize, and I want to involve you. So out of a show of hands, how many of y'all have ever traveled out of the country? Just by a show of hands. Wow, that is wonderful. Well, over the past 2 years, I had the opportunity to travel to Belize, Central America, on a mission trip, and it was a phenomenal journey. It was a transformational, life-changing experience, and that's actually originally what I was going to talk about. See, I imagine a world where we all have a Belize experience right here in our hearts. But as I was here in our rehearsal yesterday, and the first time in this beautiful place, I was just blown away by all the beauty, and I wasn't able to get my words out. And so I had 4 pages of information and things that I had meditated on, and I knew what I wanted to say, but I wasn't able to get it out. And I didn't know how I was going to prepare for tomorrow, but my good friend Victor Cyrus, who's going to be one of the speakers later, I went to his house afterwards, and we stayed there until about 11 o'clock just talking about how excited we were about the event and what we were going to say tomorrow. And at that moment, something else was pressed on my heart. See, I wanted to take this time. I saw this opportunity as a platform to point to something bigger, that this wasn't just another mission trip, but it was something that changed my life. And that's what I will be talking about today. And so before I go any further, I want to introduce you to some of the kids I met and had the opportunity to meet in Belize. This is Larisha. This is Tyson. This is Alice. This is Earl. This is Larisha again. This is Shamar. This is Jesse. This is Marcus. This is Ronnie. And Larisha is just so cute, I had to put her on there 3 times. And this is Earl. And before I stop at Earl, he's going to be one of the main focuses, but I want to direct it back to us for a second. How many of us have problems? Everybody, right? I think there's not one person that doesn't have a problem. And if they say they don't, they just had a problem of lying right there. And so these kids, when I went to Belize, it was an environment that was so uncommon. It wasn't like America where we just are fully clothed. These were kids who were walking around with different pieces of clothes, running on hard rocks with no shoes and no socks on. And I tried that, and it is not as fun as it sounds. But it was like, just looking at them, it's natural to think, oh, they have a problem. Their own economic situation is just a problem in itself. And then to come back to us and seem like we all have it together, but just by that show of hands, it showed that we all have a problem, right? We all have problems. And as I said, we were talking to Victor yesterday, and what I want to present is a solution. I feel like the TEDx conference is not only an opportunity to present problems, which we will see today. A lot of people will be presenting problems and their solutions. It's an opportunity to share the things that we've learned and the solutions that have helped us. And I call my solution the remedy. And the remedy is an opportunity to look at our problems but point to a solution that's greater than ourselves. We look to Earl, and Earl lived in houses where the houses were built on sticks so they could avoid mudslides. And I had the opportunity to meet Earl, and Earl lived in a situation where he didn't have parents anymore, but his grandma took care of him and his brother. But there was something different about Earl. There was something that we both had in common, that though Earl had problems in his area, we had problems over here. I had problems when I got back to the United States. And I was like, okay, what is so common about us? And what is the ultimate solution to our problems? And these are just a couple of pictures of how me and Earl met and how we were so common. We held a vacation Bible school out there and played soccer. So we had all these things in common, but there was ultimately a solution to it. And I call that solution the remedy. And one thing about the remedy is so beautiful. It's just, when you have a problem, you need a solution. Nobody just has a remedy for just because they're always just super happy. No, there's usually something wrong when you need a solution. And the remedy in Belize was that these were people who needed a heart. And actually, when I went to Belize, I thought that I was going to be saving lives. I thought it was going to be a time of adventure, like a clip from Indiana Jones, where I would be running through caves and running from foreign people and saving people's lives. And no, I was totally wrong. Actually, my whole perceptions were changed when I met people in Belize because they ended up impacting my heart. And I thought I was going to be doing the impact. And the remedy was found for me in Jesus Christ and in our foundation about why we wanted to go. And so when we went, the opportunity to tell somebody didn't just start in Belize, but it started at our own school, how I could take something that was implanted in me and give it to somebody else. And so when we went to school, I've seen this remedy work through people like Kaylin. Kaylin is a student at our school who's in a wheelchair. And normally when people are in a wheelchair, you tend to, not take pity on them, but you want to help. But sometimes we don't know how. And Kaylin was actually a student in our school who is sat at a table at lunch by himself. And for a period of time, a lot of people thought he couldn't speak. And he sat with a student aide, and one of my friends, and I'm privileged to know her, she even came to me and she was like, how about we get a group together and talk to Kaylin? And so we all sat down, and Kaylin, I didn't know this guy, but he was in a motorized wheelchair, and we sat down and talked to him, and he ended up being one of the coolest people I know. But I would have never known that if I wouldn't have took the time to actually talk to him. And the same remedy has impacted my school in other ways. There's a friend of mine named Joseph, and Joseph recently got in trouble for smoking marijuana near school property. Now, you could look at this situation and be like, wow, that is a horrible person. But I had the privilege of meeting Joseph before that. And before that, Joseph had the opportunity of getting to know this remedy that we all talk about, this remedy that changes lives. And when I talked to Joseph, he was telling me how, though his situation, similar to Belize, though his situation had hurt him and he was in a rough situation right now, he didn't want to let that take over him, that despite this situation, he knew that he was made for something greater, that there was a remedy, a solution to his problems, and he had found that in Jesus Christ. This is more pictures of us going out here. See, when I went to Belize, at first I just thought I was going to be saving other people's lives and coming back home. And when I came back home, I ended up realizing that I needed somebody to save my life. They say truth is more acceptable when you present it in a story. And I heard that on another TEDx talk. And I was going to present a story, and actually I didn't even remember it. I'm not even the best speaker that's out there, but I actually heard a story from Mrs. Hahn. And I would like to share that to you real quick. It said that there was an epidemic in France. And all of a sudden, people didn't know it, but there was a disease that was spreading. And this disease was spreading, and it was killing people rapidly. And they didn't know what was going on. It started off with a few people, and then it spread to other people. And they tried to contain it, and they didn't know what was going on, but they didn't want it to get out. But in less than 48 hours, many people in France began to die. And so it started to spread to different parts of the world, and even the President of the United States was saying, okay, we need to stop immigration because we don't want this disease to come over here because it's so bad. But he tried to stop immigration, he stopped it, but it still ended up leaking to the United States. And before long, people were dying over here. And it was a really harsh situation because no one knew what to do. And so there were some scientists that wanted to find the cure. So they started looking for people, and they found the cure eventually, and they found out that it was in somebody's blood, a blood type. But the blood type was so rare that they had to keep searching. For long, they were searching, and they couldn't find anybody. But then they found one person, but it was a minor. It was an infant. It was a boy. In fact, it was your son. And your son was the only person who had the cure. But since he was a minor, they had to come to you to get the signature as you being their parent. And so you pleaded with them. You were like, how much blood does he have to give? And they told you that it was going to be all of it. Your son would have to give all of his blood to save humanity. And you were baffled by this thought of, okay, I could either lose my son or I could save humanity. But you ended up saving humanity. You ended up signing off. But you ended up losing your son's life. And so people went on and their lives were changed, but they didn't really know the sacrifice that you gave. And you didn't feel like they even appreciated what you did. But humanity kept going on. It was a free gift that you gave to other people. And that's the same remedy that I have. That's my personal belief, that there was somebody who loved us so much that he sent his son down to die for us so that we could have a remedy. But all we have to do is look to it. It's nothing that we can do to earn. And it's not even in Belize where we have to go to impact other people, but you can start by just showing love here, even at this event, in your own social lives, to the people you come in contact with every day. This remedy isn't some magic trick, but it's just the opportunity to see love for what it is and to live it out. I had the opportunity to not only experience this love, but to live it out and to meet other people who gave this love. Through kids, that people don't just care what you know until they know that you care. Start off simple. Start off in your own communities. Start off in your circle of friends. Where do you see love pictured? How can you extend love to others? That love is more than a noun. That you can live the remedy. That you can be the healing to somebody else. And this is a short excerpt called Mr. Thing by Jimmy Needham. And I won't even play it because you just have the opportunity. That's all I want to leave with, that you have the opportunity to impact somebody's life. And not only that, but there's somebody greater who wants to impact you. And it's by living love and seeing where love came from that you can change the world. Thank you.
So I'd like to ask you a few questions. So that was a really interesting experience. Very rare to be able to go into another country and see what it's like there. So could you give us some actually specific examples of what you can do to make your remedy happen? Because you gave the example of going up to the person in school that was sitting by himself and joining him.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I had the opportunity to meet somebody at my school who was sitting by himself. And he was outside. It was cold outside, so I knew he wasn't outside because he wanted to be there. But it was the opportunity to actually reach out, to see a problem, to see somebody in need, and to not feel so small that you can't help.
So you count. You can't change the whole world at once, but your contribution still matters.
Right.
And I think you said, you were telling me once something about a kid that was actually in the middle of the hallway. Mm-hmm. And could you talk about that experience?
The kid that was actually in the middle of the hallway. I don't remember that experience.
Someone that said they thought they didn't matter, that they were insignificant?
Nope.
Nope, sorry. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that.